everyone. Today we're going to talk about combining an Avocor interactive flat panel with T1V ThinkHub. ThinkHub is visual collaboration software that transforms team communication. Now that we're in this remote workforce, it's really difficult to get people in different locations working together and collaborating. But with ThinkHub, it's much easier to do. So before we get started, let's talk about what I'm standing in front of here. I've got my Avocor 75-inch F-series panel leveraging that in-glass touch technology. And then we have that ThinkHub software running behind the scenes, and that's what you're seeing on the display. So let's take a walk around what we're seeing. In the top left here, we have our canvas key. That comes into play once you start having a lot of different notes and documents, and as people join, they're dropping in information in here. And this is a quick way to be able to jump from one point to another because this is an infinite canvas. And so I have a little square there indicating there's some markups on my canvas, and I can just tap on it and jump over to that PDF maybe that I was working on earlier, right? But let's go back to my kind of open canvas over here and keep walking around. So here on the left side, we have our painter's palette. And this pops up with anything that you put up on the screen and have the ability to change ink colors, change backgrounds if it may apply to certain things that you put up on here. Being able to, you know, I got my black ink right now, but then I can just tap on the blue ink and easily change colors. Also, there's ability to change from stylus to finger as far as what actually starts inking. So let's explain that a little bit here. I have my Avocor pen. This is a plastic pen with a felt tip, and the in-glass touch technology, as well as the touch API built into ThinkHub, understands the size of the object represents ink, right? And my finger this is my finger scrolling around. I'm going to do a pinch to zoom motion, and it you know it works appropriately, right? And then you also have using the side of your fist to be able to erase, right? All these things are built into it, and it understands the differences between the sizes of the objects. So that's really convenient when you're, walking up to the front of this and not having to switch back and forth to do those different things. So there's my painter's palette. Let's clear the ink that I just did there. And let's work to the bottom left here. We got a browser, right? And this is built in. You see it on both the left and right side, these 4 buttons. So this is my web browser, right? And I have it set to going to right to Google. And anything I bring up on the screen, I can immediately start inking on, right? And if I tap on it, that's when I get the virtual keyboard that shows up, and I can, start searching the internet on Google. And then, of course, you have that painter's palette again. If I want to change inks, right? I want to do a yellow ink there, erase all my inkings that I've done on this particular browser session that I have here. And as I make annotations on, let's say, some web HTML document or something, I can make a copy of it, and by pressing that little camera button, and then move it off to the side and continue working, on my browser session here. Beyond that, next to that, I have a maximize button, which, as you would imagine, maximizes my window here so I can get a bigger look at what I'm working with. Next to that is a pin button, and this comes in handy when you want to pin something onto your canvas and you don't want it to move. You don't want others to move this around, so it kind of locks it into place. Just unpin that. Okay, so I'm done with this browser window for now, so I'm going to pinch to zoom, push it out of the way, and then open up a note, right? And as you'd imagine, that's pretty self-explanatory. It opens up a sticky note, and whether I want to ink on here or if I tap into it, it's again going to open up that virtual keyboard, and I can begin typing as opposed to writing. And again, you have those different options. And with the painter palette on something like this, the note and the sketch, I can actually change the background of that as well as change the ink, change my pen thickness, etc. And all those same buttons are applied there as well. So there's my note, and let's open up sketch. Similar to note, but in this instance, it's mostly for sketching, right? If I'm, maybe doing some design, there's a circle, square, and triangle for you. Change the background on that to yellow, maybe. Okay, so I've got my sketch pad. And as things begin to fill up on the screen here, it might make sense to start grouping them, right? So we have this group button here. And as soon as I tap on that, I opens up this group window. And let me edit the name of this group. I don't want to call it group 1, but let's call it collab, right? So now I have a group, and what I can do with that, there's a couple different ways to help you start organizing what you have on the screen. One being I can take my sketch pad and drag it over and it'll drop into that group. The other thing, the other way of doing that is when you tap on any of these objects, hit that little down arrow at the top right and tap on the name of the group, and then it just jumps over there. So I've got all these different things on the screen. I'm going to put them all into this group because this is my collab group. And there's a couple buttons here. I can tap on arrange and maybe make this by a 2x2 column, right? So very customizable to help you stay organized. Now down here at the bottom, we have our media tray. This is set up a couple different ways. So you can have this pointing directly to a network storage location, right? Where you can have documents ready to go that it points to, and you could just tap on these objects and they'll appear on the screen, right? There's a PDF file. I have a thumb drive plugged into my ThinkHub workstation and it's reading off of that. So while we're on the topic of PDFs, so as I brought up this PDF, you can see, again, I can pinch to zoom, put it wherever I want on the screen very easily. But what's really great about this is if, working on a PDF, when I start inking on this, right, and I'm making annotations as I'm talking to my group, this little arrow on the right side here indicates there's a second page. So when I tap that, it jumps over to the second page, but it doesn't bring the ink over. That ink's not an overlay. It will stay on that same first page. So after this is downloaded, after the session ends, it'll hold the ink where I put it originally, not just be an overlay on the screen that you can just take a screenshot of or something. So we've covered the basics of the ThinkHub software. I'm going to make another video now kind of going over the more elaborate features where T1V really sticks out as far as remote users coming in and interacting with this canvas, sharing their documents and information, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for the next video where I go over that.